Well,
Thought you were about to freestyle.
I was almost. The beat was rocking.
Hot fruit.
Welcome to another episode of Into the West Comics. This is Cop or Drop. You know, the segment where I hate on Paul for everything that he brings and award everybody else for bringing something. So, actually, I think, Paul, you do get to go first this week. So, what did you bring for the table? Yeah, let's get it out the way.
All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about is, no surprise, I'm going to bring this every week. The new one comes out. World's Finest, the second part of the Kingdom Come saga.
Shocker.
This is, in this comic, Superman throws down with older Superman, and Batman throws down with younger or older Batman because Boy Thunder or Thunderman has set them against each other. And it's just been really cool. The art is so dope. And Dan Mora really, really kills it. And this is probably the coolest Batman versus Batman, Superman versus Superman fight I've seen drawn in a really long time. And they're being set against each other for, they're not even really sure why. And then Gog, the kind of god version of Magog from the Kingdom Come story, shows up at the end, and it's just been very cool. And I'm really curious to see where this goes because I'm not really sure where it's going, and not in a this is bad kind of way, but in a this has me intrigued. I want to know what's happening.
Way.
And they can't in Superman's fight with Thunderman, the device to get them back to their planet or their universe was destroyed. So they have to figure it out, and they have to figure out what's going on and why. And our Superman, the younger Superman, is so upset that the older Superman failed so many heroes and so many people, and he can't understand why he could possibly let that happen. And I'm sure, and later in issues, the two of them are going to come together, and he's going to be like, I failed. You will fail in your time. But this is just everything I've hoped it could be so far. The fact that Wade is writing it is really good. The guy continuing his own story, not just some other guy coming in and continuing one of the greatest comics of all time.
Yeah.
Kind of like Johns did for The Watchmen. I didn't hate Doomsday Clock, but it obviously wasn't to the quality of Alan Moore. But yeah, it's been such a fun read, and this comic in general continues to be very good. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about is Batman Offworld, which is
Jason Aaron
and Doug Mahnke. The art in this story is fantastic. No surprise. Mahnke's great. The covers are great. And this is Jason Aaron's first ever Batman story, and it's the first time he's been with DC in over a decade, I'm pretty sure. It's like been a very long time since Jason Aaron has written for DC. And this first issue, I'm like on the fence about. I think the art is fantastic. I think the situation that Batman is in is very cool. I think the reasoning for it is ridiculous. It didn't. I'm reading it like, okay, so you just had to contrive a reason for Batman to go out into outer space.
Right.
It doesn't flow very well for me, and it's cool enough to get by on that. And I'm sure it will once it gets past the setup.
Right.
Him doing everything he's doing on that alien ship. That was the best part of this comic. Once they started talking about why he was out in space, I was like, okay, this is why. So basically the reason Batman goes out into space for the first time, this is early days Batman. He understands every nook and cranny of Gotham.
Right.
But some random henchman dude, I don't even think it says what villain it is, drops like an alien in as his henchman against Batman. First of all, how did this dude get this alien as a henchman? Like, what? And Batman gets clocked by him, and you're like, how does Batman get out of this situation alive?
Right.
I don't even understand what's going on. And then Batman's like, oh, I've mastered all the threats to Gotham, which is cool in theory. It's like, I've mastered all the problems to Gotham that are in Gotham, but things are going to come from places that I never knew.
That's true.
And that sounds cool. And it is cool. But the reasoning for him going, oh, there was an alien in my world, and he said what galaxy he was from, so I'm going to go out in outer space and fly all the way to that galaxy and figure out everything I can about these aliens and beat them. And
it's a little much.
It was just a little it was just a little contrived. I was like, this is very cool, and the art is very cool. And there's also a Tamarin, who is like Starfire from the same planet as her.
Right.
And that character is a little annoying. she's like, "Oh, I've got you figured out, you little bat with wings that don't actually work." That's like a running joke that he has wings that don't work, and I'm like, I don't think that's really that funny. And she's like, you didn't get kidnapped. You're here because you want to be here, which is cool. Like, it's like, oh, Batman didn't get kidnapped. He's there because and you haven't seen like why he's there yet. So this is the first indication that he wasn't like accidentally there. And she's like, you must be here for somebody you love, because that's the only reason that would make any sense. So who is she? Blah, 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 blah. And then the next panel is a picture of Gotham. It's because he loves Gotham. So he's out in space. I'm like, all right, bro. But
Drop.
it is cool enough to, I'm going to keep reading it. And Jason Aaron's great. But it wasn't a perfect start to Jason Aaron returning to DC. And it doesn't give me the most confidence for him going into action comics in January. But with that said, the last thing I'm going to say is Comic Book Resource, a big comic book site, listed their top 5 Superman comics of the last decade. Or I don't think it was Superman comics. It was just comics of the last decade.
Right.
And they listed War World from Philip Kennedy Johnson as number 1.
Oh, nice.
So I just wanted to shout that out. That was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, that is cool.
Awesome.
So, I just wanted to throw that out there. And those were my books for this week.
Nice.
I mean, I guess, dude.
Aaron was one of those where it can either hit from the beginning or it might take some time to hit, because Jason tries to experiment when he writes.
Yeah.
So like for example, the last Punisher that we had, he took it to some added more supernatural elements to it.
You were a fan? You were a fan of that stuff, right? It was good.
There were some issues where I was like, I don't know, but then it kind of made sense at the end, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I think this is very cool, and the kind of kicking off point's a little like okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it even needed to be explained this much, especially because it's really ridiculous. But the rest of the comic was very cool.
Right. Probably needs a little more. Probably need to give it a couple more.
Needed to bake a little bit more. But yeah, I'm going to keep reading this. I'm sure this is... Yeah.
I'm glad you're going to keep reading that, because I think I'm going to drop that one.
Yeah, fine. Fair.
Already? You gotta wait until you already go. I'm dropping that one. It sounds ridiculous.
Marcus, what did you bring, bro?
All right, man. Well, it warms my heart. I had no idea this was coming out this week, but it is Howard the Duck's 50th anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
And yes,
Happy
and it commemorated it with a cool Ed McGuinness cover. That's Thor's hammer and his cake. While Thor and Hulk are battling outside his window.
That's cool.
And yeah, that's Ed McGuinness, the master. He is just amazing.
Batman, Superman, right? That's
Yeah.
what he's kind of famous
look,
for. Yeah.
Oh,
that
man.
look on his face is the greatest thing.
Yeah, it's so great.
That's good.
And it's a one shot. And it pretty much there's a team of writers on this. You got Chip Zdarsky, who did the most recent run. That's in omnibus form, which I've mentioned before. That was my first exposure to Chip Zdarsky, was reading his Howard the Duck.
Well, he
omnibus.
started off as a comedic writer.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so fun. And he brought back his artist Joe Quinones for it as well. Will Robinson, Derek Charm, Annie Wu, they did the art. Merritt Kopas, Daniel Kibblesmith, and Jason Liu also joined Chip Zdarsky on the writing. And it's a great story. It's basically like a series of, there's about 4 or 5 different stories, and they're all weaved together seamlessly, almost like an episode, like a TV show.
It's going to be an anthology thing.
No, this is a one shot.
That's it. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
this is a one shot. Yeah.
Marcus, the best part of this is like right on the top. It just says, trapped in an anniversary celebration he wants no part of.
Yeah, he's like, the jokes,
It's very funny.
yeah, it's funny. It has all the hallmarks of Howard the Duck, just that quick wit, the some of those real quick, quips that he's known for. And it's great. It's an amazing. It's a lot of humor.
It sounds like fun. I like that.
Yeah, they interweave. They pretty much there's like the Peeper. There's this character called the Peeper who's like it's a parody of the Watcher. It's like his cousin.
Okay.
It's like his
Thank
cousin.
God.
Yeah, it's like his cousin that no one knows about, right? The Peeper. And he's like asking all these questions. He's like, "Oh, so you can see the future, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can peep the future." and he's like, "Can you peep the when am I gonna leave here?" And he's like, I can't really peep that. It was a lot of fun. This is what makes comics great. This was a great fun. So if you don't see it, if you are in your local comic book store, go pick it up. It's amazing.
I like that.
And for the second one, this is great. Torrin Grombeck takes on Carnage. This is Carnage #1.
That's a beautiful cover.
And this is basically centered around Carnage basically being reunited with Cletus Cassidy and taking what he's learned in his past experiences. So basically previous runs, what's been going on, and using that to bolster his infallibility in terms of wanting to be godlike. So learning from all the experiences that he's had, killing people and taking over other human hosts, and absolutely incredible. I believe it's already going to second print.
Sick.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and that cover alone is just amazing.
Yeah, that cover is
it's a really nice cover.
And essentially, what you have is you have it starts off with Carnage going in and pretty much wrecking this library of the gods, which is like this place where all the gods go for kind of like as a knowledge repository.
I'm copping this.
And and he goes there, and basically one of the librarian who actually is in charge of defending the library actually banishes him, gets the best of him and sends him to another dimension, which is what you find is what he wanted the whole time. He finds a Cletus Cassidy in another time, and he takes over the Cletus Cassidy, and all of a sudden he's like, oh wow, I'm starting to get all these memories back. I'm starting to remember everything that that the previous Cletus Cassidy had, and this, that, and the other. And I was just like, yeah. So now it's on now. So he's basically becoming. He's trying to get into his godlike sort of. He's trying to play more into his and develop his more megalomaniac sort of personality.
Oh, so it's like King in Black, but like the King in Red.
He's
like, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, he's like, bow down. Bow down.
That.
It's time for everybody to bow down. I got all the knowledge I could from the multiverse or previous experiences, previous runs, basically. And now I'm going to take that and become a god with that.
I've always liked Carnage way more than Venom. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Especially if you want like more straight ahead, more action, like that just, you don't want the anti-hero, the complex character. You just want a straight ahead
villain. A villain.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And then just real quick, honorable mention to one of the comics that I wasn't really anticipating that I would like, but this is Punisher #1.
Oh.
This is featuring. This is by David Pepose, who's taken over, and it's basically it's a new Punisher. It's a Joe Garrison. He's an ex-SHIELD agent now, and similar origin story. Family gets killed and that kind of thing. But now we're dealing with someone who's a little more, less rugged. Like not like a Marine, but more like assassin skilled. And he's dealing with more space age sort of futuristic weapons. And it's going to take more issues to see where it goes, but I will give props to Dave Pepose. It starts off very, very intriguing, and it has my interest.
That's a great cover.
That sounds cool.
Awesome. That Carnage one looked dope.
Yeah, the Carnage one is my cop for sure.
Yeah, it's so good.
Frank, I know you have a couple things.
I'm gonna go like
Frank's got a bone to
I
pick.
want to make sure the boys, get to talk about their stuff. Just really quick, it's kind of like an overview for the whole Amazing Spider-Man gang war. I like the fact that they're keeping it grounded.
You did it. You got through that.
Peter Parker and Spider-Man in particular is always better to me, in my opinion, when you keep it more neighborhood based.
Yes.
And
You mean you don't like the Clone Saga?
That was a decade I'll never get back. I was reading. The decade of reading. 1987, okay? To buy Amazing Spider-Man since 1987 every week, okay?
Oh, man.
Nick Spencer and Cody Ziegler cured that.
Yeah.
They kept me from buying any more Spider-Man. Okay, but I'm coming back around. This is the kickoff to Gang War. It's called First Strike. It's kind of co-written by Ziegler and and Zeb Wells. So that's been it's a good start. It has you have to, if you're going to be doing the gang war stuff, you've got to start with this issue because there's a lot of things that unfold within this. Again, it's involving a lot of stuff in the underworld, a lot of the mob stuff, a lot of the supporting cast and characters that are be going into what's going to happen with this overall gang war arc. I did not have a very high level of interest in this. I have not been reading Amazing Spider-Man, but it's got me interested enough to pick it up next week. I'll pick it up next week to kind of follow up with what's going on with this.
That's good to hear. 'Cause there's a lot of new books being introduced.
This
with
is
that.
all gang war tie-in stuff. Gang war, Luke Cage. I was
Sick
excited
cover.
to see.
Yes.
I was excited to see Luke Cage, Sonny, in his own book again. It
Yes.
seems like
Right.
I've been
Yes.
waiting forever to see Luke Cage's own book. Currently in the storyline, what's going on with gang war? Luke Cage is the mayor of New York City. He is battling. He's kind of walking the line between trying to protect these heroes who are his friends and keep everybody in the city happy at the same time. It's a hard balance, but they introduce a new suit for him as well in this story, and they bring back a character from Superior Spider-Man, a villain that is from a few years back that was really interesting, and I like the direction that this is going. Cool. Miles Morales is always solid. This is more like this is more along the lines of wrapping up the story of Miles and the Blade storyline. This really doesn't have a lot pertaining to the gang war story as a whole, but when we go into the next issue, Miles Morales, they've been killing it.
He's the guy.
Cody Ziegler's
the
great.
splash
He's the guy.
pages on this artwork are incredible.
Right.
I've loved the Miles Morales run. It's been great. Prodham is doing the artwork, and his splash pages, he gets Miles Morales. He nails it.
Yes.
He does a great job, and Ziegler's done a great job with this series. And this is the thing that I've got a bone to pick. It seems like we get to these event type series, and we do these ongoing series with characters like Black Cat and Spider-Woman, and they're both very interesting characters on their own.
Right.
But they want to piggyback them into event type storylines.
So people will buy the
and
book more.
they can't stand on their own, and they don't give them the opportunity to stand on their own. What's coming out next year?
Madam Web.
Madam Web. And we have a couple different actresses playing different versions of the Spider-Woman character, right? Jessica Drew. In this story, this is also a gang war tie-in. This is the variant cover. That's why you don't see the little gang war logo on there. There's a variant cover. Love the cover. I like the
cover
artwork a lot.
Great.
The story is, it's okay. This, I probably would skip it, and I was really interested in reading this. This is my message to just Marvel as a whole. Develop characters like Black Cat and Spider-Woman and let them stand on their own.
Right.
You don't have to give them your 5-star writers, but give them something substantial to build on instead of adding them to this overall storyline. Right. And that's the thing that kind of bugs me is that they want to keep including them in this overarching 15 different tie-ins like they did the King in Black with Black Cat.
I was
and
gonna
it's
say
like
that,
you lose focus on whatever the story was about because you're worried about that. I have a short box full of King in Black crossovers. Do you know how many miniseries there were? The King in Black that tied into the main 5 issues of the King in Black. It's ridiculous. I filled a short box.
It was somehow.
I filled a
I had
short box
54
of stuff.
issues.
So I knew it was above 50.
Yeah, I
And
had
some of them were
54,
solid.
and that wasn't all of them either.
So that's basically it. I didn't have a lot of interest in the gang war story,
but it's good.
I'm going to be following up with it. I'm not sure if they can talk me into it. I'll get the second issue of Spider-Woman. This is an ongoing series, by the way.
Right.
I tell you
See-
what, Frank jumped up on that soapbox pretty fast.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that was
he
good.
did.
That was good. That was
He had
passionate,
something
and
to say.
I
It's
appreciated
passionate.
that.
Very
Yeah, I'm kind of saddened that you feel that way about Spider-Woman because she's a great character. Her
She is.
last run was incredible, and then they ended it, and then now they're reintroducing her as a tie-in. Like, really? Like, give her a number one.
But they do
on
that
her
with.
own.
I'm saying they do that
You're
with Black
agreeing.
Cat too. Is that they don't let them stand on their own because they
Stand
go,
on business.
It's a Spider type character, Spider-Man type character. We've got to include him in the
Well, that happens all the time, even with like characters like it's especially damaging to Spider-Woman.
Right.
And they do it to characters like Nightwing still as well, and it hurts them. Like the Fear State thing, The worst 2 issues of the entire run
Are
of
the
Taylor
Fear State
is where
tie-ins.
they forced Tom Taylor to include Nightwing in Fear State.
Yeah.
And it was the worst 2 issues.
And Fear State overall was fine.
Well, and
Right.
Nightwing is a
It was
character
fine.
who will be fine. He's not going to be hurt by that.
he's not gonna
but
be
a character
able to
like
survive.
Spider-Woman, that will ruin interest in a
Right.
book that may have been good. And
Right.
I'm interested to see because they're giving them opportunity. You mentioned DC and you mentioned Nightwing. In or I think it's February or March, they're going to be giving Red Hood his own. I don't know if it's a limited
yes.
series. It's
Yes.
an area within Gotham. It's called The Hill.
Mm.
And it's going to be a Red Hood based series.
Hell yeah.
I'm interested to see what they do with that. I like the writers and the artists attached. I don't have them off the top
well,
of
they
my
just
head, but
started
I'm excited for it.
the Outsiders with Kelly and Lansing, the
Yeah.
guys who write
And
Guardians.
Did you read the first issue?
I have not yet.
It's solid.
There's a lot of good stuff.
It's solid.
A
Okay.
lot
And I-
of good stuff.
And I didn't think I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
That
it.
Red Hood one sounds really cool though.
And Beast
you're
World
Jason-
started
you're a Jason
this
Todd
week as
fan.
well. Beast World
started
was
this
a good
week.
start. I think it's cool that they're giving Taylor an event with the Titans.
So, Shane, I'm gonna let you do the copper drop since you didn't bring nothing.
Yeah, a horrible person. Let's be honest.
What if there was one that you would cop?
Just one?
Just one?
Can I do one from everybody?
Fine.
Yeah, do one.
Okay, so for Marcus, it's Howard the Duck. Without a doubt. And that looks hilarious. I even flipped through it. It
if
looks hilarious.
Yeah. If I can find more copies, I might just buy everyone a copy because it's so
amazing.
good. It's so funny.
Nice.
From Paul, World's Finest, of course, because that just sounds dope. Like everything about it sounds great.
Yeah.
From
Agreed,
Frank, it's Amazing Spider-Man because that cover is absolutely insane.
I might have to
And-
check that alpha
I mean, it
issue
just looks
out.
great. Like these are the 3 that I would cop without a doubt.
Yeah, so it's the beginning.
Nice.
It's the alpha issue. It's called
Yes.
Gang War First Strike.
Right.
Amazing Spider-Man's next issue will come out next month, and it's a direct tie-in to this story. It's going to be taking place over the next 3 or 4 months.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Something like that,
Okay.
so
I
But
like
if I,
it.
had to pick one to buy, it'd be probably Paul's World. Once again, Paul wins. World's Finest sounds absolutely amazing.
It's fun. And
World's
I'm-
Finest is a great
I mean,
story.
it
It
is.
is.
Great.
The funny
And
thing
it-
is, I didn't really do a great job
Those
of
are
explaining it. It's very cool.
You didn't. You sucked.
Honestly, and what's surprising too, I'm trying to push through.
You did it. It was horrible. Terrible job.
I was horrible. I was surprised at them at Mark Waid continuing to utilize Boy Thunder or Thunderman.
He's
I thought
very
he would be.
important, yeah.
I thought he'd be one of those characters.
We're getting
that-
out of here, guys. You guys are just
Oh
rambling
crap!
at this
I'm
point.
sorry. I'm sorry.
I thought he would be a character that would just be often
Ramble, ramble, ramble.
What do you got? What do you got? What did you pick, Sonny?
Carnage, actually.
Oh, okay.
nice.
That's my one.
nice.
That's my one cop.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great evening. These are our suggestions. We're not telling you to read what we read. Go and read something.
Read
and,
comics
Go check out some
immediately.
books.
Read
Visit
anything.
your LCS. Go visit your comic book shop and let us know what you're reading in the comments.
See y'all next week, players.
Have a great
Love you
evening.
guys.